All right, Job 34. Furthermore, Elihu answered and said, Hear my words, O ye wise men, and give ear unto me, ye that have knowledge. For the ear trieth words as the mouth tasteth meat. Let us choose to us judgment. Let us know among ourselves what is good. For Job hath said, I am righteous, and God hath taken away my judgment. So the way that this phrase, God hath taken away my judgment, I mean, that doesn't really make sense if you consider Job's life to be judged in some way, and that's why he's experiencing the personal calamities. I think the meaning here is Job believes he's not been granted the opportunity to present his case to God and get an answer. So he's not been given the trial, the audience that he wants. That opportunity has been taken away from him. 6, should I lie against my right? My wound is incurable without transgression. Should I lie against my right? That sounded archaic. I didn't know what that meant. The idea here appears to be, should I lie and say that I am guilty when I'm innocent? Verse 7, what man is like Job, who drinketh up scorning like water? Now, Elihu's tone is going to change here, and he uses this reproachful rhetorical technique. Barnes' notes on the Bible says a similar image occurs in Job 15:16. The idea is that he was full of reproachful speeches respecting God, of the language of irreverence and rebellion. He indulged in it as freely as a man drinks water, gathers up and imbibes all the language of reproach that he can find, and indulges in it as if it were perfectly harmless. What man is like Job, who drinketh up scorning like water? Okay, which goeth in company with the workers of iniquity, and walketh with wicked men. For he hath said, it profiteth a man nothing, that he should delight himself with God. So Elihu impugns the character of Job here, and because of Job's arguments about how the wicked prosper, puts these words into his mouth. However, it is an interesting debate to have, given what Job has said. You know, if the wicked prosper, then you have, and you're really, if your belief in God is dependent upon outcomes, I think it's worth thinking about what the profit is. Although I don't think that's why people believe in God. Not truly. People say, "Oh, you only believe in God because you want to go to heaven or something like that." I think that makes up a lot less of the psychology of belief in God than is commonly believed. Just like self-evident, right? So, it's not subject to that sort of calculation. Maybe for some people. Verse 10, therefore hearken unto me, yea, me. Let me start again. Verse 10, therefore hearken unto me, yea, men of understanding. Far be it from God that he should do wickedness, and from the Almighty that he should commit iniquity. For the work of a man shall he render unto him, and cause every man to find according to his ways. Yea, surely God will not do wickedly, neither will the Almighty pervert judgment. Verse 13, who hath given him a charge over the earth, or who hath disposed the whole world? As we've seen here, there's always a little bit of ambiguity about the pronouns. So it's like, who hath given him a charge over the earth? Like, who is this him? Because it's not capitalized, it's lowercase. And this is God, but it's like, well, who would give God charge over the earth? I didn't quite understand this. So I went to the pulpit commentary, and there's a lot more than meets the eye going on here. The argument seems to be that if God had received a charge and were in possession of a mere delegated authority like the subordinate gods of heathen nations, he might have an interest apart from that of those whom he governs, and so be tempted to be unjust. But as he is the author of all and the sole ruler of all, his interests must be bound up with the true interests of his creatures and cannot clash with them. He can thus never be unjust, since he can have no temptation to be just, or who hath disposed the whole world. Rather, who hath laid upon him the whole world? Elihu repeats the idea of the previous clause in other words. Job 34, 13. So yeah, that's interesting. Like, because God is completely sovereign, there's not going to be any sort of struggle and temptation with the meting out of justice. That's an interesting idea. Verse 20, in a moment shall they die, and the people shall be troubled at midnight and pass away, and the mighty shall be taken away without hand. For his eyes are upon the ways of man, and he seeth all his goings. There is no darkness nor shadow of death where the workers of iniquity may hide themselves. For he will not lay upon man more than right, that he should enter into judgment with God. He shall break in pieces mighty men without number, and set others in their stead. Therefore he knoweth their works, and he overturneth them in the night, so that they are destroyed. He striketh them as wicked men in the open sight of others, because they turned back from him, and would not consider any of his ways, so that they cause the cry of the poor to come unto him, and he heareth the cry of the afflicted. Verse 29, when he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only. I sought clarification for this line from the pulpit commentary. Who then can condemn? The sentiment is the same as that of St. Paul in the Epistle to the Romans. If God be for us, who can be against us? Who shall lay anything to the charge of God's elect? It is God that justifieth. Who is he that condemneth? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? When God hideth away his face, then all flesh is troubled. Man shrinks into himself and despairs of happiness. Nature itself seems to fail and fade. None man can behold when he hides himself. None can do more than depreciate his anger and pray. Lord, lift up the light of thy countenance upon us. Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only, the results are similar, whether God withdraws the light of his countenance from a nation or from an individual. In either case, there is no help from without. Ruin and destruction follow. Let's read that again. When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only. That the hypocrite reign not, lest the people be ensnared. Surely it is meet to be said unto God, I have borne chastisement, I will not offend any more. That which I see not teach thou me. If I have done iniquity, I will do no more. So the Ellicott's commentary for English readers essentially just says, these verses express the attitude that should be assumed towards God, one of submission and penitence. And, we don't really see that from Job. That is not the vibe that we get from Job. So Elihu may have a point here. Verse 33, should it be according to thy mind, he will recompense it, whether thou refuse or whether thou choose, and not I, therefore, speak what thou knowest. Okay, that was again confusing for me. I like the Cambridge Bible for Schools and Colleges commentary. Elihu's answer to this complaint is that it is a claim to regulate the government of God, to give laws to him how he shall act, and to decide how he shall recompense. Such a position the complainer takes, but for himself Elihu repudiates it. Thou must choose, not I. In the concluding words, speak that which thou knowest, Elihu invites Job to state that method of recompense which shall be according to his mind, and better than that observed in God's rule of the world. I mean, essentially, I think what he's saying is like, how would you do this? How would you do the administration of earth? Can you possibly say? Can you do better? Verse 34 through 37. Let men of understanding tell me, and let a wise man hearken unto me. Job hath spoken without knowledge, and his words without wisdom. My desire is that Job may be tried unto the end because of his answers for wicked men. For he addeth rebellion unto his sin. He clappeth his hands among us, and multiplieth his words against God.